Hey YouTube fans, welcome back to Dinky's channel. I haven't really been on much because I've completely lost my voice a couple weeks ago, and all I was doing was coughing and coughing and coughing. And turns out my allergies are not your normal allergies. I have really severe allergies that can't be controlled by your normal regular allergy pills like Zyrtec or Claritin. I had to take something prescribed by the doctor, and it's like 3 times stronger, and I'm just like over medicated. So today I finally went to the doctor, and he's like, "Yeah, you have bronchitis, and that's because of your nasal had a sinus infection, and I've been doing a neti pot, and I haven't been sleeping much, and I didn't want to come and make a video and be like, sorry, I got boogers and sorry, because that's what I was doing. Constantly, I had mucus all over, and it was just not very pretty. And why does medication have to be so expensive and medical have to be so expensive? To me, the medical industry in this country is so corrupted. It's not even funny. By far, it's so corrupted. Because I gone to Mexico plenty of times before. I have asthma, and I had just recently, a few years ago, just ran out of my inhaler, and I was like, oh crap, I ran out of my inhaler. And my cousin goes, well, I can get you to go see a doctor, and they can prescribe one for you, because he's a physician himself. I was like, but you're an ER doctor, you're not. He goes, so you can still see a medical here. You just have to pay whatever copayment, and it was like $15, I think, and my inhaler was like $10, when the same exact inhaler that I get here in the United States cost me like $45. So I have 2 different types of inhalers that he gave me, and they were like total. I paid like $95 last time when I had to get my inhalers refill. It was like $95 for just 2 damn inhalers and some pain pills and some antibiotics. And I had medical insurance. I had Kaiser. And now I have Aetna, and I had all these medications that I gotta take. And it's like, I had to pay like half of that. I paid $68, but I got this Flusinix. It's like a nose. I gotta do that twice a day every morning. Then I still have 2 more that I have to pick up that I haven't paid for because they weren't ready. This one is Citaflu. It's like a antibiotic. It's 500 milligrams for 10 days. My antibiotic one. This one is Ortho Pills. This pill is to help like with my mucus, to like not upset my stomach, but it also helps with my allergies, I guess. That's the way he put it. I can't read the names of it. They all have weird names. It's Omeprazole. And then I got Monotixel something. I'll let you guys read the name. I better not even try. So it's like all this was like, I paid a total of $60. Gave him 60. It was total of 58. So yeah, it was around $60. Plus, I still have 2 more I gotta pay for. So 2 of them were $4. Not bad. The other one was 12. The one that cost me the most was the nasal spray. That one wasn't covered by my insurance, and it was a 38 count. So that one cost me $38. Too bad. But at the end of the day, I am medicated properly now. Because in the state that I live in, California and Kern, the allergy seasons is practically all year round. For me, is all I have to do is feel like a wind of dust just blowing my face, and then all of a sudden I'll just sneeze one time, and it's gone from there. I am screwed for the rest of the day. And the other medication that I was taking, like Claritin, it would just suppress it. and then once it was done, back to, and it was just suppressing it, so it was just causing a sinus buildup. So I was glad that I went, and I also got an allergy shot, which wasn't very fun because you get those on your buttocks, and it was like, ow. But she was really good, so I didn't have a problem with that one. It's just my butt's really sore now. But it's like a steroid, he said, and it helps sometimes clear, and it's a 2 month shot, so I would probably get it every 2 months, he said. And I'm just like, I just don't want to over medicate myself. And when I went to the gym, I literally, when I went to the doctors, I literally wanted to cry. And I was like, why? And then when I looked how much I weighed, I was like, no, I've gained so much weight. It's not even funny. And people keep telling me, what are you doing to lose weight? And I'm like, I'm not losing weight. I'm gaining weight. I literally gained about 15 more pounds. I don't know why. And it was just like, after I had my ectopic pregnancy in November, that was not very painful. It was very painful, but not very pleasing, because I had to take an antibiotic, and I had to take another type of 2 different types of antibiotic, like one for something else, and one for my pneumonia, and then the other type was to help make it a little bit stronger or something. And it was like a steroid. That's practically pretty much what it was. And it was to help open my lungs. And that one made me so hungry that I would eat constantly. Every 10 minutes I was always hungry. I wanted everything in the fridge, and I would find myself eating and eating. So I would tell my mom, we're gonna buy fruit, and all I would eat is fruit. And I would put chili powder on my fruit, and I would drizzle some, sometimes I would drizzle some yogurt on it or whatever. But I really do believe that there's a huge corruption in the form of medical form, because something's got to be done. You can go to Canada and get the same medication and pay half when it's made here in the United States, and it's made by the same pharmaceutical country. All they are is just greedy people, in my opinion, that want your dollar, your money, and they don't care about anything else. On CNN, I can't remember how many years ago it was, but I remember I was watching CNN because I had to do for a class. I was in my political class, my political science class in college, and I was watching. It was during the epidemic of the EpiPen, and my father-in-law has to use the EpiPen for the simple fact that he's allergic to bees, and one bee, he's gone. He can literally be gone and die. So he's allergic deadly to bees. And I remember the guy was interviewing the lady, co-founder of the manufacturer of the one that does the EpiPen, and he was asking her, and he chewed her ass out and told her that it was corruption. That why does it have to be $600 when you can go to Canada, you can go to Cuba, you can go to Europe or Mexico? He was like, and it's made by you, made with the same ingredients, made with the same stuff. He goes, and I looked it all up, and it's the same company, but it's way cheaper. And here, you want to charge $600? And then she goes, well, they can use a coupon that gives them $300 off. He goes, you really think someone, just an average Joe, is going to come in and say, oh, I have $300 to give you for that one medicine? $300? That's maybe a car payment, maybe an electricity bill, maybe half of a rent payment. But even when you go to the doctors, they charge you a wazoo just to go see a doctor. That's why half of the time millions of Americans have insurance but don't use their insurance. They're too afraid to go see a doctor and take care of themselves. They're just too afraid, because when you go to the doctors, it's like, oh, it's a $35 copay, and then they charge you, like with Kaiser, they would charge me $35 copay, and then later they would bill me for the full amount. So I would be like, am I paying the $35 now? Is that the full amount? Or later do I have to pay the rest of the deductible. And they're like, you have to pay the rest. And I was like, ugh. So it was like very frustrating, very confusing for me. And so that's why I owe Kaiser so much, because it was confusing for me. So I was like, you know what? I need to switch insurance where I'm going to not pay so much out of pocket. And I found one that was cheaper and that works better, but it's still kind of pricey at the end of the day, because your medication, it's not going to go down. So if you have asthma, if you have thyroid problems, if you have any type of medication that you have to take for life, it's almost like, gosh darn it, it's like my son's medication. When the doctor prescribed it, I was having such a hard time, and I told one of my friends who works in the pharmacy at my store, I was like, what is going on? Why can't they give me this medication? Why do they not have it? Kaiser had it all the time. It was a boom, boom, there, and it only cost me like $20 for a 3-month supply. And she was like, and it was a generic brand. Well, they're like, sorry, we don't have that one here. So they were like, we order it, but it's in back order. And then she finally was like, look, back order means that it's no longer made by the manufacturer. Manufacturer don't make it. So then finally she talked to the pharmacist, and he finally talked to me after having a hard struggle trying to find a pharmacy that can get me my son's ADHD medication. And he was like, well, can you go to another pharmacy? And I was like, okay. So I went and tried another pharmacy. But here's the thing that I realized. It's out of my network. So with my insurance, they only want me to go to one pharmacy, which is in my network, and that is Walmart pharmacy. And if I go out of Walmart pharmacy, they charge me a deductible, a co-payment, and all this other stuff. So I went to Walgreens, and it was $183. And then the doctor, I went to CVS, same price. And I was like, why is it so much? Then I went to my store, and he was like, look, the reason why is because they don't make these anymore, and they don't make them in tablets. They only make them in pills. If your doctor can prescribe them in pills, we have this brand, this exact same thing, the ingredient that your son needs to take. It's just the exact same thing. It's just in a different name. And he goes, we can do this one, and it's only going to cost you $4. I was like, oh, great. So when I went back to CVS, my doctor had previously given me another order for my son's medication. He's all, how about if we switch it to a smaller dosage, that way he can do 2 times a day instead of 1 a day. And I was like, okay. So we went to 5 milligrams instead of 10. They wanted to charge me $600.58 just for that medication alone. That was because my insurance did not cover the smaller dosage. And I'm just in there going, I pay them every 2 weeks to have insurance, and they can't cover not one little thing of it. So this is what I mean by corruption. Because even though we pay car insurance, even though we pay health insurance, even though we pay any type of insurance, we got to remember and read the fine print and see what it covers, what it really covers. Because when you really need it, that's when you realize, crap, it's not worth it. I don't have that good insurance. My insurance doesn't cover nothing. Not a dime, not a nickel. So I finally was able to get my son's prescriptions switched to Walmart, and they were able to get them in the pill form instead of the capsule, and it only cost me $4 for the month supply. Way different from $600. I'm not gonna pay $400, and I'm not gonna pay $600 compared to $4. I'd rather just pay $4. At the end of the day, I even told the pharmacist, this is like somebody stealing. It's a fraud. It's like, I feel like they're just wanting my money. Like, I'm feeling gypped, And even the nurse at the doctor's office was like, we understand that it's expensive, but we can't keep switching, the medication because it's ADHD and it's not healthy. And I totally get that. But at the end of the day, why does it have to be $600 when it only costs like 75 cents or whatever to make it? It's just, we live in a greedy world where money rules everything, and if they can't get your money, you can't get their product. You know what I mean? When technically it should be the other way around, the way God intended it to be, because I believe that God gave the people ability to do medicine and do all kinds of stuff, and they're using their gifts for the wrong use to profit off. And if he was here, he'd probably be mad as hell, just like I am. And I don't know about you guys, but I hope you understand where I'm coming from. And it sucks having to always go to the doctors, but when I saw how much I weigh, I was like, that's it. I don't care how much I spend. I have to go back to the gym. Because I used to go to the gym every day, and I was keeping my weight at a certain weight, and I was very proud of myself. I wasn't gaining or losing any weight, and it was constant, and my clothes fitted better, and I just always felt better. I was always more happier, and I'm happier now, but it was just like I had more energy and more willing to do things. And so when I joined the gym, I had joined it with my sister-in-law, and then she decided to not have the gym anymore because she hardly ever went. I was the only one that went with my parents. So now that I have my driver's license and I go all the time, I was like, I'd rather just invest my money in a gym membership and give them my money, because that's more healthier for me to do than to give my doctor, $80 for pain medicine. And if I can avoid getting sick and if I can avoid being unhealthy, I might as well start now. I was like, because I've gained so much weight. My dad's a diabetic. His mom was a diabetic. My grandfather died from cancer, and he died from the same kind that Patrick Swayze died, which is pancreatic cancer, I believe. And then my dad's uncle, which is my grandfather's brother, he died from coronary cancer. And then my mom has thyroid problems. Then one of her aunts died from brain cancer. And then my grandmother died from hepatitis, and that's my mom's mom. And it's just like a line of diseases. And I just realized the only way I'm going to get healthy if I eat right and exercise. And that's what I used to do when I was younger. I mean, when I was in high school, I was like always 110 pounds. I can fit into little kids' clothes. And I was just like, hey, my cousins who were like 5 times younger than me or 10 times younger than me were weighed more than I did. And it would boggle my mind, because I was like, why am I so thin? It's because I did track. I ran 20 miles a day, and I was always loving exercise. And even on my off season, I would always go and be like, bye grandma, I'm going for a run. And I would get my headphones and I would go for a run. And then I got married and then had my kid, and I just quit. It's like, we shouldn't have to quit, being healthy is something that we all need to do. And not everybody likes the gym. At first I wasn't a gym person, which I'm still not, but I liked the fact that I can go and use their pool, because they have a pool, and I can take my son swimming, and me and him can race like 6-7 times back and forth, and then we can go into the jacuzzi and relax. Then I like their steam room. They have a wet one, and then they have a cold one with like hot air. It's like no wet. And the steam room was amazing. That's the one I liked. The sauna, I didn't really care for too much because it had a musky, stinky smell to it, because you can smell everybody's BO, because it was just like a sauna. It was hot air. And then in the steam room, it was hot air with like steam, and you can smell the eucalyptus or whatever, menthol, whatever they used, and it would clear out my sinuses all the time. And I saw a major improvement, so I was like, I need to go back and do that. So that's why I joined the gym, because instead of wasting my money on always trying to pay doctor fees for being unhealthy, you might get sick every once in a while. But I noticed that when I used to run a lot and I used to exercise all the time, I hardly ever got sick, and my immune system was more better and efficient, and it just made me feel a lot better about myself. Now that I've gained so much weight, I'm almost at like 160 pounds, and I'm 4'11", I'm just like, no, I don't want to look like a fat little short person. It just doesn't look normal, or doesn't look proportionally right. So it's like I'm learning to love myself within my own skin, but I also have to, give myself that self love. That means that I gotta go out and nourish myself and take care of myself, because in my family there's a lot of lines of people having diabetes. And so my son's dad, his mom has diabetes. So it's like I have to tell my son diabetes runs on both sides of his family. So we have to stay active and constantly try to monitor what we eat, because diabetes is huge. Because I've had it when I was pregnant with my son, and it was not fun having to control your diet, having to not being able to have that craving that you were craving. So I literally was always craving ice cream, and I had to not eat ice cream for a while. I had to cut my ice cream to one scoop, and that was it. And then I cut my food proportion in half, and I did so amazingly good that I was so proud of myself that I didn't need insulin, or I didn't need any medication, and my sugar was always right on point. I ate my almonds, I had my smoothie, I would have my cereal in the afternoon, because I went to a nutritionist and she's like, no, don't eat cereal in the morning, because cereal can be kind of sugary and it can spike it up. This is what you need to eat it with if you're going to eat cereal. Then later, eat it later, and then blah, 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 vice versa. So I would always eat healthy, and it made a huge difference. So I encourage you guys to go out there and get healthy. And hopefully you guys like this video. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Sorry about the lighting. I'm in my living room, and hopefully you guys get better and don't get sick like I did. It's not fun having to pay so much money. In my opinion, it's corruption. What do you guys think? Because I know that all these medical, pharmaceutical people can afford to lighten up just a bit and make medicines more affordable. Because sometimes even generic brands are not that affordable. Because I was getting my son the generic name brand. $600 for generic? Shouldn't it be less expensive? The original would have cost me more than $1,000, I guess, because he wanted Adderall, and I'm like, well, what is the regular Adderall? He's like, Adderall is not covered by your insurance, but it does cover the generic, and Adderall by itself is more than $600, and I'm like, I don't even want to know. So it's just, I think that when people need medication and people need to use it, we're so afraid, so we self-medicate ourselves all the time. We take Mucinex or whatever, and sometimes we don't really medicate ourselves properly, that it can harm us. That's what I was doing. I was doing nasal, like, neti pot, which was good. He said that was good. But he said the Mucinex and the other stuff, he goes, yeah, you were just drowning yourself. He goes, why even take those? He goes, those weren't going to work for you because you have an allergy infection, and the allergies, you have to stop them from starting so that you can feel better, so it doesn't come and become a sinus infection. Which I'm glad I went and I was able to get the medication that I needed to get. But my only frustration is, why does it have to be so expensive? It's like, I was watching a documentary once too, before I leave real shortly. They documented these kids that were not middle class, but they were not poor. They were like in between poor and middle. Because they were like not necessarily poor, but they were not like rich, and they were not necessarily middle class. They were just like in between. Like, it was just weird the way they defined it. And then they interviewed these older folks who were wealthy, and they got free insurance, and they didn't have to pay for anything, and everything was free for them. And they interviewed the older lady, and she was like, well, I like it when it's free. My doctor, he never charges me a dime. And she was like, I get my medicine for free, and even though I have insurance, he doesn't charge me for nothing. And my husband and I just love it. And then these kids were like, how is that? Because we can't even afford to go to the doctors, because if one of us gets sick, my That's like my entire mom's or dad's whole entire check. There's a doctor's fee, there's the medication fee, and then there's a co-payment fee, and it's like add it all up. It's just it kind of gets pricey. So sometimes we just refuse to go, and that made me so sad. And I was like, why are these people who are multi-millionaires that showed their income and it showed how much they made and what they did before getting free stuff when they can afford to pay it, and the people that can't afford to pay it were having to pay the ridiculous amount of money that these people could afford to pay within a heartbeat. It made me sick to my stomach. And when that documentary I recommended by Michael, I can't remember, I know his name is Michael, but he made a documentary about how our system is so corrupted, and he took these people to it was Cuba, and they got in a little boat, and it was like they had to be secretly get into this boat, and he was like they had to hurry up, and he followed them to Cuba, and they would go see a doctor in Cuba, and they would fill out the medications and get in line, and they would get their prescription, and they would come back and get a prescription for half of the price of what they would pay here. This lady was saying that she would have to pay like so much for her medication here that's why she can't afford it. So she goes to Cuba, and she she learned about this little secret place where she goes and gets on this little boat, and that boat drops them off somewhere around Cuba, and they secretly run into Cuba without trying to get caught, and they go get in line and wait to go see a doctor, and they go to the doctor's office, and they go see a doctor in Cuba and get their medication a lot cheaper, and sometimes even free. So I think we need to reform, a very good reform, because I believe that all sorts of medical companies and health insurance are a form of corruption. And it's not that I'm against them, it's just that sometimes you have insurance but it doesn't even cover you, not even a penny, especially with dental's a whole nother issue. If you want to go get your teeth done, you can't. My parents went to go get their teeth done, and it was like 12. I think he wanted to charge my dad to get his teeth out. He wanted to charge him $5,000 for all 3 teeth. On top of that, he was going to charge him another $1,200. So, yeah, that's just not even the nick of the iceberg. So, it's just expensive for dental. So, dental is just a whole nother corruption, in my opinion. Because I have known people who are in the dental industry in Mexico, and they just laugh of how much the American people charge. It's not that they're being rude, it's just that they say that they don't think of the people, and they only think of money. They don't think of the people. And I agree. We don't think of the people. We think of money. Because when you go to the dentist, you get a free cleaning, but then they tell you, oh, you got a root canal, and that root canal is going to cost you $1,200. Why should it cost you $1,200 just to get a damn root canal? At the least, my parents went to Mexico and they got a root canal from one of my dad's best friend's daughter, who's actually a dentist. She only charged her, I think it was $45 for the whole root canal. Just $45 for one root canal. When my mom was telling her, wow, they wanted to charge me $1,200 here for one root canal. She was laughing. She's like, why? When all they have to do is do this and do these and do that. And she was like, it's not very expensive for the equipment or for the stuff. She goes, it's just they want your money. That's all it is. This is just your money. So, sorry that I haven't been on and making videos. It's just that I've been utterly ill. I haven't been able. I'm finally starting to get my voice back, and it's still kind of scratchy, but I'm starting to get my voice back, and I hope you guys have a great day. Hope you guys like my videos, don't forget to hit the like button or subscribe and hit the notification bell so you guys can always see when I make new videos. I'll be making more videos soon. I am working on another one, and I'll get back to you guys soon. Bye.